All right, moving on. I think it's time we started getting into awards season. I think obviously there's
It's
the
the
Game
best
Awards is
time
around
of
the
the year.
corner. Yeah, so
Mhm.
we're gonna be IGNs. We're gonna be doing the IGN Awards very soon, having all sorts of fun stuff about that. Ultimately, it's a bunch of pomp. It's very silly. It's all made up. Uh, whether or not a game is released in any given year is just a completely arbitrary measure of time, and it's still fun. So we
Mhm.
decided we'd have a little bit more fun with it and do the Game of the Year awards categories that nobody else is doing, aka the Beyonces. I thought that was a good. I don't know if we're gonna get sued or not for that, but
You're
anyway,
gonna get sued for that. I'm
okay.
not. You
What
are.
No, there's a D in there. It's the Beyond
the
says.
Beyondals is that?
Okay.
No, okay. Um,
It's gonna be a
yeah,
D for defense when you're on the witness stand for that one because you're gonna go to jail.
going to jail. Whatever. I'll get to meet Beyonce. But no. So we wanted to just pick a bunch of
That's not
wacky
how that
categories.
works.
Totally
Yeah,
worth
no.
You
it.
get to meet Beyonce's
Do a
lawyer.
crime and yeah, you get to see them in court and they sign autographs on restraining orders or whatever. Uh, I don't know how we got over here already.
She's got nothing going on. She's gonna go to court against a PlayStation podcast.
Yeah, sure, why not? This I want to first shout out like Mega 64 used to always do like the dumbest Game Awards categories videos, and I think kind of definitely planted a little bit of a seed for that. But I wanted to sort of walk a fine line between completely wackadoo off the wall categories, but also stuff that we kind of did stop and think about a little bit. So let's start things off with the video game food that we wanted to actually eat the most. That's the name of the category. Best performance by a food in a computer game on the PlayStation this year.
Hmm.
Uh, we have a handful of nominees, but we also would really love to help. We'd love to have some help from our fine viewers and listeners to uh, not just vote on what we've got picked out, but also submit some ideas of your own, whether that's
Hmm.
nominees or just categories. We run a very loose ship around these parts. It's a real it's just a real squiggly schooner, as it were. Uh,
I'll be putting some stuff up in the PlayStation Facebook Beyond group, so definitely keep an eye out for that. But definitely, in the meantime, before that goes up, feel free to submit stuff if you beat me to the punch.
Did you
yeah,
say
but
plate station?
plate
Because we're
station.
Yes,
talking about
yeah,
food.
Yeah,
yes, because
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, the nominees that we picked so far for the video game food we wanted to actually eat the most of the 2023 first Thirsty Suitors, which had a bunch of awesome South Asian cooking stuff. I thought that had very action-packed cooking sequences. Uh on a similar beat, there's also Venba, which was much more chill in its cooking, but also really put I feel like your memory to the test in terms of what you were making. And again, uh, I think it's really weird that there's two games that both taught me a lot about like South Asian cuisine. I wasn't really
Hmm.
that wasn't on my bingo card this year. Pizza possum, we talked about that a bunch. That possum likes to eat not just pizza but other things too. All of the food in that game I
Hmm.
thought was looked succulent and
Looks
delectable.
so good.
Baldur's Gate 3 has a lot of great food and then a lot of rotten food. I think we've all
Mm.
probably thought about I mean, they got little sausages in there.
Got to take
Hmm.
the good with the
Yeah.
bad with
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate.
And then of course there's the Spider-Man 2 wheat cakes, which I think are both like a little bit of good sort of fan service to the
Can
classic Aunt
can
May
I
wheat
add a
cakes.
write-in vote that I just remembered
Yeah,
just to show
You
how
could have just writ it
professional
in.
this is?
Writ it in. You could have written it in. You're on the run of show, but we'll go
I
for it.
know, but I just remembered it right now, and I'd rather say it than write it.
All right.
There's all this food in, and I know Jada spent a lot of time here. There's all this food in the shooting gallery in Resident Evil 4 remake that the merchant is just left for you to kind of like munch on between shooting cardboard pirates or whatever, and it's beautiful. There's like it's almost I think it's like a paella, and there's some bread. There's also that whole dinner sequence in there where you have to you have to ring the bell in the right order, and there's glasses of wine and a nice dinner painted on the wall. So yeah, there's some good food there, just throwing that out
But
there.
okay, the first one I'm with you. But the second one is just a painting, right? Because there's not
Yeah, so what?
the table's set, but it's set with puzzles, right? It's not like you can't eat the puzzle.
No, I think there's dinner rolls on the
Are
table.
there,
I like a good
but just
bread.
rolls, not like
Yeah, just
all
rolls,
right, tactical rolls. Okay, so yeah, those I think those are some good. I actually I forgot about the shooting gallery hors d'oeuvres. I
hmm
think that's a shoe in right there. Those are great.
up there. Also, like with Baldur's Gate, tons of disgusting food in that game too, right?
Yep.
Like there's a lot of like walk over, you open a pot or whatever in a villager's house, and Leon's like, Jesus, what the hell was this asshole cooking? Worms
um,
again. Nighty
I have
night nights.
I do have an honorable mention for Remnant 2. There's a whole boss fight where it's this like over engorging like servant of a castle
Not really selling me here.
and he's like sitting there with a feast, and it requires you to eat from the feast to start the boss fight, but this food is rotten, like probably years, decades old food that is there,
So we should
and
give
you
it an
have
award
to.
for being succulent and delectable. Is that what you're saying?
Okay.
Yes, and
If
you
they
have
do,
to
how
eat
about
it,
this? If
and
they
when
do
your
a remnant
character.
prequel to when that food was fresh, maybe. But I don't know.
I mean, you know what? There was no food like that in Remnant One, to my knowledge.
I think they had all those
Um,
procedurally generated levels. I wish we'd gotten some good old fashioned like Super Nintendo game levels where it's like a dessert level and a cheese level. Like I don't know, like a good
um,
old like a one that looks like big Christmas presents, like in one of the old Batman games. Just give
I
yeah.
yeah.
a couple weeks ago I tweeted out a picture of the there's like in one of the Mysterio side levels where you go into, like, I think you go in his house and there's like a secret door in downstairs. He has there's a pizza in Spider-Man 2, right? There's like just a pizza on the counter, but it's also next to a hot dog with ketchup and mustard. And it's just a weird combination, because like usually people order a pizza and they just have pizza. Nobody is like, all right, I'm going to order a pizza and then have a hot dog, and then between them we're going to have hot dog condiments. But the pizza itself looks good, so I'm gonna give a nod there. I think there's, outside of the wheat cakes in Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man's also doing some good stuff with pizza, and that goes a long way in my book.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I feel like
Mhm.
I just didn't want to give it the too much recognition because the first one had such good pizza.
It did.
It was
It
pretty
did.
good. Yeah, but yeah, you can't make a game in New York and not have good pizza. That's
Or hot dogs. You got to put them
yeah.
together.
I
Pizza
have hot
Possum had
dogs.
amazing food.
Oh yeah, yeah. That was, I mean, that was good because it was all cartoon food, and cartoon food is by definition always the most, like, you always imagine how delicious it would be.
What was great about Pizza Possum too is that when he ate it really quickly, he would get huge and then walk
Mhm.
around very slowly. And I think that's an added element a lot of these games had not considered. Especially, we're recording this in the post Thanksgiving week. Maybe a couple of us put on some pounds, as evidenced by the scale I got on this morning. And I think it's good to have that level of realism in games where a pizza possum can get a little fat in the gut walking around
I
doing a little
respect it. I
waddle.
think he put in some good work this year, and then also he had
Yeah.
espressos, which do help speed things up. But I'm glad they didn't
That
put that as a
so
game mechanic.
lovely. So lovely.
All
I
right,
hear real France is just like that.
probably. I think it was it set in France or Spain. I don't
No
even
one
know.
knows. I don't
No
know.
one
I made that
knows.
up.
Europe,
It's Possum Land.
somewhere
Check
Europe.
it out. It's like $6.
All right, so those are our bad food categories. If you have other ones, please let us know. You can hop in the Beyond Facebook group, or you can shoot us an email, beyond@ign.com. Our next category, oh boy, there's some big contenders in this one. The things that killed us the most in games. The first one, I feel like two of us jumped on this at once, but
Yes.
those little pointy chicken things that would just dive bomb you in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, like those little
Yeah.
guys who would be running around at creek bed, and then they would just come at you like a shotgun blast. And it was always when you were just done, like, just fighting a bunch of scout troopers or whatever, and you were like, cool, I'm almost, I'm gonna go heal now. And then one of these guys would be like, whoa, just go right in your ass, and just you would die.
I
Horrible
believe they're
things.
called Rockas, if I remember
Rockas?
correctly. I'm
Yeah,
looking
I
it up
actually
now.
I'm always one for looking up the official nomenclature of a Star Wars animal, but I don't even like these guys enough to do that. I'm not about to
Uh,
do that.
the amount of times I died to these stupid little chickens after clearing a group of enemies, only to be rear-ended in the back of my ankles after healing to full and dying in one shot, was just painful.
Yeah.
So many times, these dang little chickens. They're just
No, aren't they in the Jedi Master mode? Or aren't they one hit that they kill you?
Oh, they're one. Yeah, on Grandmaster, they're one
That's
hit KOs.
horrible.
One
I
hit
would. Why
KO.
would anyone? How are those people on that planet not all dead? How would they even settle on that planet? That's vicious.
I think actually once you get to like max health, if you have like the defense like perks and stuff slotted, I think you can survive one hit and leave with like 10% HP. But I'm all about the offense in my games, so in most games, so I was
Okay.
getting one shot till the end.
So flip side, there's also I can't even say this. It's swamp and then F word from Lies of P. Brian, I think you wrote that one in. If people don't like swamps in
I forget his
Soulsborne
name,
to
but I
begin
just
with.
called him the Swamp Effer. He was for some odd and it's weird. Like for every Soulsborne or Souls, like every conversation with everyone you talk to about these games goes exactly the same way. You name a boss that kicked your ass up and down for an entire weekend, and some guy that goes, "Oh, I beat him on my first try. It was so easy." But this is what happened with me with the Swamp Effer in Liza P. This is just like he's one of the more sort of like traditional Souls-like Bloodborne-ian disgusting monster beasts. Wet, slimy, multiple phases, hops around in his own turds, beats the living crap out of you. Just disgusting, gross ass, classic FromSoft inspired creature, right? He's less like mechanical. There's no, puppeteer robot stuff about him. He's just a beast. He's just a disgusting bog creature. And man, he made me throw my controller. He made me like so angry for like a full weekend. And then I killed him and I felt great. And I talked to other people about him and they're like, "Oh, beat him on my first try." Like, look at this thing. This is like, he doesn't really fit
yeah,
the
beat him
theme
on
for
my
the
first
rest of
try.
the game. But you did?
No, I didn't even get to him.
Damn it. And it was really rewarding because like all the stuff after him is really cool. And he's a little too silly to be like super mad at because he's got a huge butt and he's got these dangly googly eyes that like,
Yeah, he looks like somebody in Cirque du Soleil being a frog.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah, like if you hung eyeballs in your car and they're, in on the rear view, like that's what it looks like up here. And they're just like weird little jelly beans or like pomegranate seeds. It's hard to get really mad at him,
Okay.
And he does grow this kind of like exoskeleton, but it's more like crab-like.
Okay.
Yeah, I hate this guy, but I killed him.
Okay. We
and
should
it
give
felt
him an
great.
award, and then you can
Yes.
go in the swamp and give it to him, feed it to him with his little mandibles
Okay.
or whatever. Another nominee. There's also Salazar in RE4 Pro mode specifically.
Another one, Jada. I'm sure you beat Salazar on your first try on pro mode.
Always.
I think there was a thing. There's a way to one hit him that I did
with the golden egg. You
you throw the golden egg.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
if you
right.
throw
the
the
way
golden egg-
that's the trick with aristocrats is you just gotta whip a golden egg at them and that'll show 'em.
The pain of losing something so valuable all over their face is just enough to shame them to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that. And I don't care if it's cheap. It's funny.
It's very
don't
funny.
care.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Here's one. There's always that big argument about what the toughest thing in a Soulsborne is. But I think a lot of players can agree that Lords of the Fallen's toughest enemy was the camera itself.
Toughest boss in that game. I feel like everybody else in that game was not necessarily a pushover, but like easy enough for me to like not struggle on it too hard. But the camera, I would just like walk out of a room and it would just like lock in a corner, and then 5 witch guys with pinpoint accuracy from 600 miles away would just like knock me to my death.
Now I want to give these guys a benefit of the doubt because they have actually been patching. Like I'm actually enthusiastically reading the patch notes for Lords of the Fallen because they're really good at like actually hitting they have apparently pinpoint accuracy on the things that are pissing people off because I know like Travis was like, yeah, the bosses are too easy. And they were like, we made the bosses harder, went through and retooled all the bosses, and also those little wizards who would just like one shot you with yellow piss lasers from across the map. They don't have as good aim anymore, and it's like, cool, you nerfed the piss lasers, thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, no, they've been really good because they also had their New Game Plus had like no checkpoints, only the manual ones you could place. And then they're like, this is too much, so they took it back, and now each successive playthrough you get less and less of those checkpoints, those like stationary checkpoints. They take them away as you get through New Game Pluses, so then you just have to they imagine by the time you're on your 10th New Game Plus run.
I think they should do a mode where there's one enemy in the entire game and he's scared of you and you have to go find him and kick his ass.
Just gotta go. You gotta go.
Just hide and seek. All right, next to the things that killed us the most, Ghost Runner 2, our own reflexes.
Yes.
That's a shoe
Ghost Runner
right there.
2 is a lot of fun, very action oriented. I love the first one. I died quite a bit of times, probably a good like 400 times, I'd say, across like the 15 chapters in the first one. The second one is getting probably close to that point as well, just because sometimes you try to reflect a bullet and you're just too slow and the bullet hits you in the face.
So I previewed this at Gamescom, and they had a thing set up where when you started your little appointment, they had your card, and at the end of the demo it would say how many times you died, and you had to like write your number of shame and put it on this big wall, and there was this big wall next there. It's all like game journos suck at games, and I'm like, oh no. And I did actually okay in the beginning, and then they kicked me off my station because somebody else had an appointment, and I was just like tagging along with Stella, and then Stella I think she finished hers, and I was like, wow, Stella, I would have done way better, prove me wrong. I didn't have to get did not complete or whatever. And then finally
Stella's up there with Jada and Mitchell Saltzman in terms of just like the pound for pound nastiest pure gameplay, will kick anybody's ass. Like that's one of the if we ever got challenged to like a street fight by a bunch of like like our another website or a bunch of like YouTubers or something like that, I'd be like,
Mhm.
send in these three. That they're gonna take
They're
like
good
if
at
we got-
games. They'll fight well for us, probably. Who knows?
yeah, if we got
Let's run
dojo
away.
rushed by like a bunch of guys in the comment section who were like, IGN sucks at games, those are the three I would send in to kill.
Yeah, they're definitely in my party that I hide behind. And then finally, for the things that killed us the most, the dead batteries and the flashlight and Alan Wake 2. I feel like those are
Man.
the real enemy. The batteries.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of
I
those ones that
honestly-
you rev up like it's got like a vroom, 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 vroom. You know those or like the kind you shake. I'm not gonna do
Yeah,
a
no,
gesture on the screen. But
I got one of those like industrial flashlights years ago because I was like, oh, we live in a state that's like prone to weird blackouts and power outs and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And like it's just become a toy that my kid pulls out of like the random utility drawer and just like shines around all the time. It's had the same batteries in it for probably 5 years now. So Alan Wake,
In
step
the-
your
like,
shit up, man.
in the 80s and 90s, you
Well,
had those like
can't
big
use
those
those
big like
energizers anymore.
That's true.
those,
Also, it's
big,
gonna die the
plastic
second I need it.
flashlights. You know the plastic flashlights, like the big
Yeah.
tube ones with the white switch that came in different colors that were like everywhere in the 90s. And those took like 4D batteries and then they would die immediately.
In
I feel
10
like
seconds.
he's got one of those. And now, you know, in the future, we have like LEDs which can run forever on like I don't know, like a single button cell or whatever. Like it's
Single
just,
Yeah,
watch
like moon,
battery.
moon
yeah, it's like
powered or
that-
whatever.
yeah, it's like I love how like cell phones break modern horror, but like like the LED logic breaks Alan Wake battery logic.
I actually really like this. Producing for us today, Tom Jorgensen wrote in, did Alan Wake 2 accidentally make a great advertisement for Energizer by sticking you with store brand batteries?
Yeah, yeah, he
yeah.
did. He did.
We've actually,
know,
I mean,
or-
it's funny because we use you know, when we record in the studio, we use lavalier mics, which are like wireless, and they always use AA batteries. And I remember
Mhm.
just early on being like, that seems terrifically wasteful. And then you know, one of the studio guys was like, yeah, except that like the second you start using a rechargeable battery, its health starts declining and you have no way of gauging how long its battery will actually last. Whereas if you
Mhm.
pop in a fresh set of AA's, there's sort of a, you know, there's a known, you know, there's a
Known
known,
quantity.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's a little thanks for coming to our TED Talk about batteries. Next
So
up in our
tell us what killed you the most in 2023.
let us know. So you can also, if you're just watching along on YouTube or whatever, just hop in the comments. Leave your own either nominations or vote on these, and we'll do a real honest, good old fashioned, good old democracy. It'll go fine. Next category: most bizarre ability or spell. JD, you put down Gold Digger from Remnant 2.
Yes. So Remnant 2, after you finish the game for the first time, you unlock this Explorer class. Explorer or Adventurer, one of the two. Either way, once you level it once you get that class level 5, you unlock this ability called Gold Digger, which basically allows you to pull out a shovel and dig into the ground, and out comes a fountain of either health, haste, attack power, or defense. It's just very random in this game that's all about guns and, you know, swords and axes and stuff. They can just whip out a shovel and just start digging a hole. Even mid boss fight. So very strange ability, and I give it a shout out for the name being Gold Digger. I thought that
I
was
like
kind
that.
of clever.
Another game where you can whip out a shovel and dig holes and things is, of course, Baldur's Gate. But something weirder you can do in there is cast a magic spell that covers everything in grease. And I swear, the grease in this game is like one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite mechanics because I guess I just didn't. I think the fact that the logo of the icon for it is like a little yellow glowing pig, and it's just it's like I don't know. It's just it's very silly.
That is my prep work for every fight we go into in Baldur's Gate. Is I take out bottles of grease and I just fling it at all the entry points. So all these people are like running upstairs covered in grease to get to me and falling, and we're just pelting them with spells, arrows.
Oh my god, I need to do more of that.
Throwing ranged attacks at
Needs
them,
more
weapons.
grease.
Just
It's also
everywhere.
equally greasy, and this is again a bit of a well, quite a few bones of contention. A real choking hazard worth the Mortal Kombat 1 Thanksgiving fatality, which they unfortunately got all mired in microtransactions and stuff. But feeding somebody an entire Thanksgiving dinner to kill them is especially fitting.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, back in my day, you know, fatalities only cost a quarter, and you had to go down to the local arcade to do them. And
And sometimes they got done against you for that quarter. So.
Exactly. You couldn't even do them at all. You just flail around, and then shrug. I love that. I love that, like not doing a fatality thing where you just like you do like one punch and then you look at the camera like Anyway, and then also in here the Mega Man Battle Network candle.
Yeah, there is the
Why you
Mega
like
Man Battle Network
what?
Anniversary Collection.
Why is
There's
there
an ability called Candle, and there's 3 different tiers of it. So there's stronger candles. And you basically plop the candle on one of your spaces on your 3x3 grid, and it just heals you over time.
I don't like this because if you're
It's
supposed
the
to be
power
like
of aromatherapy, I guess.
I
I
think
don't
we
know.
should get like maybe like an IT specialist in here because if you are in an actual battle network, I feel like lighting a small candle is going to be very bad for
Lighting a candle inside of a
your
fire or
networking.
inside of a computer? Yeah,
Yeah.
probably not a
What are the
great idea.
benefits? Is if it's like a water cooled machine, it's okay. But if I don't know. We should try that on our PS5. Just light some candles in there, see how that advanced cooling
Put
handles
it in
that.
that the new models disk drive section.
Best dressed. This is a somewhat self-explanatory category, but also you kind of it's a broad one because you can a lot of games you can just dress up, such as Baldur's Gate 3. I don't know.
Mhm.
That's kind of all over the place. There's some cool outfits. There's some great
Some very cool
undergarments in that
armors.
game.
There's lots of
Yeah,
dyes. You can dye stuff to
yeah.
make your armors look pretty cool.
It's also
Mix
like
and match a bunch of
it's such
pieces.
a pain to find good outfits because I want you wind up with like a stupid hat and you're like, well, I guess I'll give it to my friend who doesn't have a hat, and I don't know. Like I have a Starion dressed like a freaking pirate right now, and I don't know. It's corny, and then
It's one of the things I want Baldur's Gate to add. I want the ability to have just like custom clothing, like layered armor or clothing over it,
okay,
so that I can look like a ridiculous person, but still have all the bonuses of all my spells and stuff that's attached to gear. Because
okay,
that's what we want in games. We
yeah.
want to
Was
look
it?
ridiculous while we do
Yeah.
cool things, but still be
Uh,
strong.
and then counterpoint, there's of course Lies of P, which continues the FromSoft tradition of your clothing really not making that huge of a difference, so you can kind of
Mhm.
just do the whole fashion souls thing. And Ryan, you made a real ass of yourself in that game, huh?
Yeah, literally, I wore the ugly donkey mask for the entire game, and it was weird because I put it on in like the first half hour, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool. I'm sure there's gonna be tons more stuff like this." There wasn't, so I just wore it the whole game. I changed my like weird trench coat and cloak and stuff a lot, but like for the most part, I was just dressed like a donkey,
Okay,
literally until the very end. It was
fair
great.
enough.
Had a good time.
Then there's Diablo 4, which I love because we got all these photos, early screenshots people were posting on their, on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, other characters, and they look like incredible. They're like the most detailed, amazing looking, like barbarian fur, like druid tooth
Hmm.
necklaces. And you're like, oh my god, this character looks so sick. It's such a good designed character. And then the majority of the game, they're like they're the size of a wine cork running around on the screen. You can't even see them. That's just I don't know. That's that Diablo. Baldur's Gate has that to a certain degree, depending on how zoomed in you like to play.
I had
Hmm.
a good time the first season. Me and a friend, we did Avatar themed characters, and so I was Korra. So I dressed in like all brown furs and stuff like that, and it was pretty liable. And we just zoomed in, and she did who did she did? I was she was she Azula? I believe she was Azula or
Okay,
whatnot.
so for those of you
So
keeping track at home, it was Azula.
yeah, I believe so.
Um, I'm sorry.
No,
uh,
you're good.
then there's Street Fighter 6. I think like Street Fighter usually people I like that they always are like, ooh, it's this season's Street Fighter outfit. Like and we're like, ooh, Ryu's got a beard this year. Wow. And then
Hmm.
it's like Guile's got a beard. Ew. But they also added character customization and creation in this, which is fun. I don't know. It's just like a very I guess it's a very streetwear forward, series
I mean,
for
Street
obvious
Fighter Six
reasons.
has a lot of really cool clothing. They did a really good job. Like all the clothing you could buy in the single player mode is really cool that you could customize your avatar with. I think, but also just the fact that you could completely create inhumane creatures that should never have seen the light of day in Street Fighter Six is just miraculous. I
Yeah.
saw people that would like there was like they would take like those Oni masks, but they would increase the size like 1,000-fold, so it was like covering their entire body.
That's horrible.
And so it was
I think
like it
that's the
was
mark of a good character creator is you can make like the most beautiful, like idealized versions, but then you could also make just like I don't know, uh, Shrek's ass or whatever, just like something unthinkably horrible.
yeah.
And then finally, this is I was a big fan of the outfits and the hairstyles in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I like
Yes.
specifically they had like there's the mullet, which everyone loved. You can look like Joe Dirt with a lightsaber, but also the sort of nods to Kyle Katarn and Dash Rendar. Like there was the Outrider armor,
Mhm.
which was very much like I something clicked and I was like, oh, I'm playing a modern Shadows of the Empire with lightsabers. I'm into it. So
So cool.
yeah,
So cool. That was such a nice thing, especially after like I feel like they course corrected over what they needed to from the first game in such a great way, because the first game was like, I remember
Ponchos.
it was just ponchos.
Ponchos.
And they apparently added those like at the finish line and during game dev, and like they just wanted to put treasure chests all over the world, and like it was just different colored ponchos. And then this one, they're like, nah, man, do whatever you want, have a great time out there, dress like ponchos a classic Star Wars character.
Now moving on, keeping with the I don't even know how you segue for that. Wettest liquid. What is the wettest liquid of 2023's games? There's all kinds of liquids. People get worked up about the liquids in games. Sometimes people say the water isn't wet enough in Spider-Man. They zoom in on the puddles. They don't like it. I want to point out that the big liquid in Spider-Man 2 this year was symbiote slime, which was all over the place. There was too much of it. I didn't like it, but then I got rid of it. It was fine.
There's a part where there's a lot, like, which is interesting because there's a part in the beginning where there's a lot of sand, and obviously the opposite of sand is wet.
Yeah,
so
they did a lot of great stuff with sands and liquids. We'll get to sand in a second. That's actually our next category, most sand. But first, it's sometimes a liquid. I guess if you get it hot, it is. If it's not too viscous, grease in Baldur's Gate 3. They hit substance from Baldur's Grease 3. Speaking of which, there's also Gollum's wet hair and head. We don't need to nominate Gollum for anything, do we?
I put it in there because I feel like it's not getting nominated for anything. And,
that's fair.
You know, one of the big reasons it's because it's shit. But but I thought it was worth mentioning that he does look extremely wet in that game, and then he has like wet, like the weird, like Simpsons wiggles, you know. Like,
I think it'd be really funny if like the one award that game got was like Podcast Beyond gave us the award for wettest liquid, and like what liquid? Thank you for all of your awards. We're looking.
They can write the Beyonces on there, and then they could be in court with us too, and be like, "Hey, how you guys doing? What happened with that game, man? What's
Gunk in Star Wars Jedi Survivor? Not to be confused with Gonk, the droids that go gonk, but like
there's like that oil gunk grime that you sometimes have to trudge through and stuff.
There's like a dude trying to scuba dive in it. You got to deal with that. Sure, why not?
Yeah,
I don't like that. It's yucky, but I do like paint. I think paint is beautiful, and it's all over Street Fighter 6. It's just covering all over the. You kick someone in the head, and there's just like paint flourishes everywhere. It's such a nice,
I mean,
colorful.
Kimberly is a character literally uses spray paint as a weapon. So
that's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sure there's other liquids in games that people would love to tell us about. So do that. Tell us. Let us know.
Your wettest liquid.
Yeah. And now next up, our next category, the enemy of the liquid, the sand, which is like if liquid was just small rocks. Sure. Spider-Man 2 had a lot of that. They had a whole man of sand.
Most.
They had so much sand.
Sand.
More than games that are like desert levels, because the sand was all over New York City where it shouldn't be, right?
But I'll challenge you.
I don't know. We're all idiots, and we've played a lot of video games, and we're able to detach from the reality. But I could not stop thinking about who had to clean that up because I have brain damage. But like, it was too much. And if it was just in one area,
it would get it would look all weird.
It was on the roof.
Yeah, how do you
put it on the roof of a 60-story building? How are you gonna get? We can push it on the street, and everybody's down there, and it's just falling on their faces. They're trying to get to work.
Basically, yep.
You know, you're sitting there having like a nice New York City hot dog, and all of a sudden a bucket of sand falls on it.
That would ruin so many hot dogs if there's just sand blowing around.
The vendors on the street vendors, man, they would have a case for.
Is a hot dog a sandwich, or is it sand? Is it just sand covered?
It is now.
Anyway, there's also Atlas Fallen, which didn't get a ton of nominations, but JD, you're playing this right now. It's literally a game
about sand. Like the whole plot is around how like sand has memory, and you're like sand surfing. It's literally your traversal ability is surfing on sand.
Okay.
That
looks pretty cool.
In a conversation about things not getting enough nominations, I really hope Max gets his flowers for that is a hot dog a sandwich joke. That was very good. You deserve it. And a lot of people, they're going to listen to this show in their cars on the way to work, and then 12 hours later on the way home, they're going to be like, "Oh, I got it."
Well, speaking of sandwiches, I think isn't there like a playable sandwich in Mortal Kombat? There's a sand ninja.
Yes, Garrus is like made of like the sands of time. I don't know if he's a witch technically.
Okay,
he does have magical powers and
magic sand. I mean, they like announced that game with sand. They were like, when you think Mortal Kombat, you think of one thing: sand in an hourglass.
Sandman
time is passing.
DLC.
Sure, I can see them doing. Well, not sand. They do Candyman. I don't know. I guess Spider-Man 2 had a Sandy Man and a Candy Man when you look at it. There was also
He's on fire.
there was also Forspoken, which I mean that
There's
had
a lot of it kind of came and went, but there was a whole region that was like very sandy and like mountainous, so it's good.
give
chunk
it an
of sand
award.
to it.
Give it an award. It's not
Well,
going to
I'm
anything
gonna,
else.
I'm gonna,
Best
I'm gonna
sand.
say this. I'm gonna say this here because I'm not gonna say it on Nintendo Voice Chat where they're all gonna get mad at me over there. I love you guys over there. Hosted your show for like 3 months this year. Great time, good fans, good stuff. The amount of crap we gave Forspoken for its dialogue versus the amount of times the flowers in Super Mario Wonder talk exactly like they do in Forspoken. No one talks about it. Shame on you all. Also, Disney's
agree.
Wish is just 90 minutes of the Forspoken Mario flower talk too. So that's
Oh, boy.
that's the trifecta of just stop
And
it. I don't want
honestly,
to hear
that
it.
is such a small, like, what we got in that trailer is like 5% of the dialogue in that
I know.
game. And it like
No,
it's
there's-
but it's all everybody dogpiled on.
There's
or
a
whatnot.
castle in Mario Wonder where one of the flowers is like, I guess I'm in a castle now. How did I? And it's like, God, it's bad. Stop.
I'm used to having I got like a Fitbit and it's an annoying bracelet. Like it'll just
Yeah.
buzz at me and I'm like, ooh, did someone cool text me? And it says, no, you've been sitting still too long. I'm like, I hate this future. This is bad.
Mhm.
All right.
Or when
and
you
then
get those emails that are like, you're on fire on LinkedIn, and you're like, I haven't gone there in months. What is wrong with you?
let it burn. Also had Star Wars Jedi Survivor, Star Wars and
Whole
Sand have
planet.
a complicated relationship.
Love
Props
hate
to them
relationship.
for it
There's a
being
whole sandstorm that
and
you
it
have
was
to go
that's true. It did have a good sand adventure.
very good sandstorm.
Yeah, and that was
And
also
then-
props to them for doing it on Jeddah and not on Tatooine because we've done
Yes.
enough on Tatooine. But I'm excited to check out Tatooine and Star Wars Outlaws coming out next year from Ubisoft.
And then also Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is
Oh yeah, can't forget that.
set
Yep.
in a whole land of sand.
Sure. There it is. And next year we got Sandland. Look, this is gonna be a hot category next year. There's gonna be a lot of sandy games. There's Sandland,
Yep.
Mhm.
other games. Anyway, I mentioned Star Wars Outlaws, another big open world Ubisoft game where you climb things and then probably liberate outposts that features known IP from popular Disney owned property.
Mhm.
The Na'vi in Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, who are notably blue, but they're not the only blue characters. And so we're giving out an award for the bluest character in games in 2023.
This is the top category.
Not
here.
depressed, right? Not sad. Like
We should have considered that.
We should
Okay.
have.
Alan Wake. No.
He's up there.
Sonic the Hedgehog and Mega Man are both, they're no-brainers. They just, they're like John Williams for like best score. They just have to show up and they're like, you're probably
Yep.
gonna walk out with an
Like,
award.
hey, I'm blue. I'm here.
Yeah. Who do you think is bluer? Sonic or Mega Man?
I think Mega Man is more blue by square inch footage of their body. I think
I don't-
technically Mega Man
I
is
don't
more
Mega
blue.
but Mega Man sometimes is not blue.
Mega Man is constantly not blue.
He switches to not blue, but Sonic also switches to not being blue.
Sonic
He
turns
turns
yellow
yellow,
under
once in a
like
while, yeah.
extreme circumstances, and it's when he has to pee. And then Mega Man turns every other color every level because like every time you beat a level, it's like you got
Snake Man power. Now you can be
super
green.
snakes.
Okay. All right.
He
The
shoots
other
squiggles everywhere.
It's a good point.
the other nominees we already said, not the Na'vi from Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, whatever it's called. I like this. What do you have to do on Tuesday? I got to go on a camera and talk for an hour. What could go wrong? And I say 4 words in a row improperly.
Frontiers of Dandori.
All right, so yeah, those blue cat people. I hope that game doesn't totally suck. I'm excited to fly around a pterodactyl and be blue.
The good thing is we haven't played it yet. None of us. People at IGN have at preview events, but we haven't. But we can declaratively state that it definitely has blue characters in it, and probably
Yes.
not a ton of sand, right?
Mhm.
Mostly water.
Maybe,
You think
because
there's
it
gonna
could
be-
be-
like it. Looked
there
very
could be
jungly.
sand under the water at the bottom if you go down there. Maybe, I don't know. We'll find out.
Might just
soon
be
enough.
rocks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
There's
cool.
also again really just showing up for Atlas Fallen. Jada, you put Nyquil?
Nile.
Sorry.
Nyquil.
Nyquil.
Nyquil's also blue or green.
Nyquil can
It's
be
green.
blue.
It's
it's
which is a different color. Why did
I-
you-
booted up Atlas Fallen just like 2 or 3 nights ago, and imagine my surprise that within the first 30 seconds of booting this game up, I'm playing as a Na'vi. Literally, I am this blue dude that is like 9 feet tall and has a ponytail down to my ankles. Like, I was like, how is this? How has nobody talked about this?
Okay,
Like,
fair enough.
so yeah,
All right. Another category, well, not category. Another blue character is Bluey
Yeah.
from the Bluey the video game. I played a little bit of this, and I was like, it's honestly such a drag that this is not more solid. I think we gave it like a 4 out of 10. It is a literal baby game, but baby games don't necessarily have to be terrible. And I feel like this one, it has like a mini game where it's like the floor is lava, and it's like very, very, very mild platforming. But like, if this is a game for children, I was like annoyed at how like it's just got like kind of wonky platforming at parts, and I was like, this is
Right.
I'm gonna put this on the back burner for another 2 years because my kid has no idea how to play this, and I don't know. It's one of the, like, you have those like cute indie games where there's no like fail state, or you can't, you just kind of play with things. I feel like that could have been a mode here, but they didn't do that. But who knows? Maybe they'll patch it. We got like a whole roadmap of Bluey post launch stuff. They're gonna nerf
He's
the
not even.
bosses.
He's not that blue either.
No, that's
Like,
true.
He's
Yeah.
like he's like a dark blue and a light blue, and then like a really light blue. But like,
Yeah, no,
the background there is more blue than Bluey
all right.
is.
So Bluey is disqualified because Brian says Brian, we talked about stupid microtransactions. You paid $5 to make RoboCop blue, is that correct?
I did. I'm an idiot, and I'm part of the problem. 20, I would say that 23's horse armor is not a horse armor at all. It's actually a man, and his name is Robert Copman, and you can play as him as RoboCop. Available now on your consoles. And yeah, I like the regular version of RoboCop. Again, first-person game. You don't really see him much. No need to do this, but he appears in a lot of cutscenes, and most of them, like there's one where he's like in a video store and he's talking with his friend. He does a lot of briefings at the police station where he stands there like a horse, like just a complete idiot in the middle of the room, and everyone else is doing important stuff, and he's just like, "Do you think it's okay that I still miss my wife?" And he's like bright blue in my version because I paid $5. They also give you a gun. So
okay, so out of the box, not a nominee for Bluest character, but if you pay an extra $5, it's a contender.
You can
so
write him in every
$5
ballot.
Pay a little
RoboCop
green, get
blue.
a lot of blue. That's as we
What
say
a
around these
value!
parts.
Did they have any sales for Cyber Monday on blue RoboCop?
No, they should have.
Don't answer that. Don't
feels
even
like a match made in heaven.
All right, now our final category. This is a big one. This is one of the biggest ones for the whatever we're calling this, the Game of the Year award categories that no one else is doing for obvious reasons. The best Avatar game of 2023, and the nominees are Avatar: The Frontiers of Pandora, Avatar: The Last Airbender: Quest for Balance, and The Smurfs 2: Prisoner of the Green Stone. I think what
I don't know how Smurfs in this category.
but they're like little avatars. They're like little.
Did anyone play
little ones.
Smurfs, or are we just a bunch of fake gamers?
No, but no one got mad at it.
You know what? I saw the gameplay video that Max did in his like November games, and it looks like a pretty competent game. Not good enough for me to spend $40 on right now.
Right.
But if
it's
it
from Microids, so it could be a 7 or an 8 or something. Maybe I don't think we.
As soon as that hits the PlayStation Plus collection, I will be playing Smurfs 2.
I will be a prisoner of the Green Stone myself because I will be captured by that game's many charms. I don't know. I also love that the Avatar: The Last Airbender was not apparently very good. People got bummed by that one. And we haven't played Frontiers of Pandora yet, which I accidentally wrote twice on the nominees. So that one's up for twice on account of those avatars are the largest. The Smurfs are very small. Smurfs. I don't. That's which could be the best Avatar game. We'll have to find out soon enough. Also, if anyone else has a suggestion for what is another good Avatar game, it could be like an Avatar creator where you create your favorite Avatar, or it could be a game where you just do sand bending or water bending or whatever it is they do in that show. I mean, I guess Diablo 4 could be a good Avatar game if you decide to role play as Avatar characters.
Actually, technically, yeah, since I did make Korra, I was literally an Avatar. Writing it in. It's a write-in vote. Diablo 4.
Yeah, if you have a car in Forza that looks like a Na'vi, it actually can't be nominated because this is a PlayStation show. Get that blue car out of here. That's it. Those are the nominees for all of the categories. We're open for more. This is a real casual award show. We really like to run a not very complicated one, but I think we can make some fake trophies, give them out to games.
Yeah, and
call Gollum on the phone, see how he's doing over there.
Jeff Keighley and I guess Billy Crystal, whoever's hosting the Academy Awards this year. Little tip you got there from Max. A great way to end your award show is just to look right at the camera and go, "That's it." When you ran out of stuff to say, just go, that's
about it.
If you got any more ideas, let us know.
Isn't that how you tell someone to get out of your house in the Midwest? You just go, well, You slap your
You
knees.
stand
you're
up, you
like,
slap your knees, you stand up, you go, that's it. All right.
well, that's it. Get out of my house.
We're over it. It's done.
All right. Thank you both for hanging out and goofing around. Everybody listening, watching, if you expected a better video audio product the week after Thanksgiving, we've failed you. But we are having fun with these awards, and we'd like your participation. We'd like to have some fun with that too. So hop on over to the Beyond Facebook group, or shoot us an email, beyond@ign.com. Or jump at the comments on this video, whether you're watching on YouTube or on IGN. And you can also just use the, what is it, Twitter? Is it, we still use that? Try to use that. Good luck with that. See, yeah, hop on there, find out all sorts of great deals on. I keep getting that ad where it's like, this surgeon says stop doing this to your blueberries. I'm like, I don't know what he wants me to stop doing. I don't know.
Blueberries?
I don't know, but it's 2 words, blueberries. I'm like, okay, fair enough. AI generated surgeon ad on Twitter. Thank you.